Rebel on the radio, baby.
We lost little time down in Mount Eliza, thumbing a ride, running from the lights of Georgia. We've been through the desert and the flames. Honey, there's
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. How you doing?
Yeah, no, doing okay. Thanks very much for taking a bit of time to have a chat with me, though. Both of you, really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm just going to sort of get straight into it, I think. And so I don't know if you remember playing Bristol, but you played Bristol a few times, and I've met you a couple of times. But I want, and what I was going to say was, on stage, you talk quite a bit about bits and pieces that have happened in your life and how even the band started. But I want to give our listeners a little bit of insight into Madison Violet, and I wondered if you could just sort of go through that, sort of the early period of the band, how you met, basically.
You want me to take it?
Sure.
Well, Brenly and I met on Halloween 1999. Oh, we're aging ourselves, aren't we? And we met and sort of, it was a real chance meeting, and lo and behold, shortly after meeting, we found out that our families not only knew each other. I grew up in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia on the East Coast. Brenly was born in Montreal, grew up in Kincardine, which is about a 22-hour drive from where I lived. However, our fathers sat beside each other in high school growing up. I knew all of her family, used to play in a ball team with her cousins, and one of her aunts was my school teacher, and it was just, a lot of this long-standing connection between my family and Brenly's family, the McEachrons. But I did not know that there was one musician in the family until we had this chance of meeting. So we met. Brenly at the time was in a band called Zoe Bliss. Right. Zoe Bliss was sort of an ambient trip-hop band. And they had just recorded an album called For the Beauty of Runes. Yeah, is that correct, Bren?
That's correct.
And they had fiddle on the record, and at the time didn't have a fiddle player in the band. So we met sort of instantaneously. I joined the band. We started dating, fell in love, and then, it just turned into one of those, we sort of paired off and created what was at the time called Mad Violet. Right. And lo and behold, we're still at it 20 years later.
It's quite funny that you say you start dating and you're in the same group. Does that sort of cause problems when it comes to songwriting? Because obviously a lot of songs are written about people's love life. Let's be honest. What if you're not in a good place at that point and you want to sort of kick off at Bren Lely? So how do you write those sort of songs, those difficult ones?
I think we're really good actors, so we're really good at penning a song and so it can be disguised somewhat. It's like the song becomes incognito. They don't really don't know. And then as we got more comfortable with each other, I think we are now we're used to being a little more vulnerable with one another, and so we can write about it and not take it so personally, and just recognize that we need to sometimes just get this out of us, regardless of whether it hurts the other person or not, and try and take it, try and not be defensive about it, and just try and learn from it rather than feel the impact on you. It's really, if Lisa's writing a song that she needs to get out and it happens to be about our breakup or whatnot, then I embrace the fact that she needs to get it out. So it's not about me, it's about her, and that's okay.
It's quite brave in a way, isn't it, songwriting, when you think of it like that, because you're sort of putting your emotions out there.
Yeah.
It's brave. Yes. I think it's, you get past the brave factor when you take it as more therapeutic.
Yeah.
And, it's like free therapy. So it's, and because, we have such a long-standing relationship, and I think we're stronger than ever now, 10 years after our romantic relationship ending. You know, we give each other that space, like Brenly said, but we also know each other so well that even if I'm writing something super personal and about my life and about my heart, Brenly has the ability to sort of finish those sentences if I can't get there, because I
That's
think we
great.
know each other so well, and there's a lot of trust there as well, to sort of that took some time for me to realize, to make sure you don't get defensive and you can just trust, be it a line that finishes your story, or taking something out that might not work, and that's the hardest part for me, or it was.
How about during COVID? Because I remember sort of like I follow you guys on social media, and you were both living in completely different places, weren't you, for quite a big chunk of time? I don't know how long it was exactly. How about the songwriting process then, and how do you keep moving forward during a pandemic and living so far apart?
Well, it's interesting because we decided pandemic hit and we had been talking, even the last record, we were like, one day we're going to record and produce our own record, and we're going to really see what we can do just as a unit, like one unit together. And then I was in California before pandemic, so we already got used to living in different places for a couple of years prior to that. So we had a little bit of practice in figuring that out. And then when it came to making the record, I can remember Lisa and I were having this conversation. Lisa was feeling kind of anxious about the fact that we got to make this record, and we've gone to the Berklee College of Music, and we've figured out how to do it on our own, but we don't have any songs. So I'm like, no, we have lots of snippets of songs. They're not done. But the beauty of recording it ourselves is that we don't have to be finished the songs. We can just start laying down the foundation of the little snippets that we have. And I find, I must have probably 400 or 500 little snippets of ideas, little sketches of songs. And we were able to go back to those sketches and say, okay, well, here's a little jumping off point. Let's put that in and start writing underneath it. And listen, there's no real science, like the science of music is that there is a bit of a formula. It's verse, pre-chorus, chorus, pre-chorus, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
more or less what's going to happen, and the verse isn't going to change so much from the second verse, and the chorus is the same, might have a little bit of this at the end. So it was a real opportunity for us to actually not get caught up in what we don't have, and more focused on what we do have. And the journey was incredible. I'm so happy with the way these songs have turned out, and I think that some of the best songs we've ever written because of that.
Definitely agree with that.
We didn't need to be in the same room because we could send each other the ideas.
The latest single, sorry to interrupt you, is absolutely fantastic. I love the remix of it as well. Time to Right the Wrong. I think that's a beautiful song. In fact, I would probably say it's one of my favorite ones that you guys have ever done now, after the last sort of couple of months listening to it. And you mentioned something quite interesting there that I think about the formula, and the Madison Violet formula that you've had for 20 years. You've stuck to quite religiously to the style of music that you play. And I don't want to sort of pigeonhole it into different genres. I don't think that really matters what genre is. But you did do an album that was a bit off the beaten track for you. I can't remember what it was called now. 2014. Something
Year of the Horse.
Year of the Horse. I was going to say something of the horse. So yeah. Was that something that you wanted to just try? Did you want to try and do something a bit different? Did you just fancy, just having to go at something else? How did that album come about?
I think we just wanted to experiment and sort of go outside the box and do something that maybe we would release under another name. We had contemplated that so that it wasn't so jarring for our fans. We had a lot of team members at the time that didn't want us to do that, like labels and just people on our team that thought, oh, it's not a good idea to release something under a different name. And, hindsight, but it was just, we went in there and just had fun. We had fun for months with Tino Zolfo, who produced that record. And I don't know, it's sort of, it never got released worldwide. It only got released, I think, in Europe and never in North America, just the single, which was released on a dance label in America called Ultra Records. And you know, we had some interesting label situations happen, and then so much time passed that it never got released in North America, which was kind of sad to me because yeah, it was way out of left field for us, and it was sort of dancey and pop and electronic, but I was really proud of it.
I think it's really good. It's good to have a go at different stuff. Anyways, I mean, if that's what you want to do, I mean, essentially, that's what an artist should do, isn't it? Explore. And some of the songs that you played on that album, when I saw you, I think Trouble was one on that, and you've got that on an acoustic record as well. And the live album's really good. Now, the next album you've got coming out, I want to obviously get into that a little bit. Is what can we expect from that one? And when's it out?
Well, we haven't set a release date. We're still waiting for mixes to come back, and we're still tinkling with a couple of the songs as well. Just little tiny, like little ideas that are still coming to us. One song that we're working on right now is a song that it's the one song that we didn't make in the Airstream, because I bought a 1972 old Airstream recording studio.
Cool.
Well, turned it into a recording studio, really. But there's one song that we recorded in Santa Ynez, California, and now we're kind of, you know, now it's been what, 2.5 years ago that we recorded the song, and now we've got new ideas, and it's nice to like go. It's like such an opportunity, because you know how often you make a record, you put it out, and then it's gone. You can't really take it back, and you know, I mean, you can do a remix, but you can't kind of start it from scratch again. So this is a song that's been sitting around, and now we get to have some fun with it. So we don't have a release date, but we're hoping March or April of 2022. So
Fantastic.
In a couple of months.
That's great. Would you ever do another live album? Because I would have thought a live album's a great idea, because it's sort of like a bargain to make, isn't it? Really, you're going around touring. One day you just got to do everything spot on, and then you can release it. And I really like your live album. I think it's fantastic, and I like it because it reminds me of seeing you back at around that time. So would you ever consider doing another one of those?
Oh, for sure. I think so. I think it comes down to, like you said, being on the road and being tight, having the band tight, and everybody just feeling comfortable and in the groove, and you know what you're doing. But as of right now, we are rusty AF, man. It's I mean, we've been I shouldn't say we're rusty. Listen, this is what we do. This is what we've always done. But I think we need to dip our toes back in that water again. We've been off the road for so long, it just seems absurd. And as of right now, we're supposed to be going to Germany on like the end of February. We've got over 20 shows in Germany in March. And I was just looking, and I'm like, I don't even know how to book a flight anymore. It's like one of those things. I feel that, but you know what? I have a feeling it's like riding a bike. It's just, neither one of us have really done much else. This is what we do.
Yeah,
and what we've done for 2 decades, and we just got to get our toes back in that water again. Once we're steady footed and feel like we're doing what we do again, then it's a good time to record a live album.
Well, that was going to actually be one of my questions, because I know you are coming over to Europe, and you've got a few dates. I've got them written down here: London, Glasgow, and Hull, I think, at the moment. But would you be looking to expand off of those dates, or was that just some to get in the diary and then book around?
There are a ton. There are a ton of UK dates already in our calendar.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
well, I hope you do make them.
I hope so too. I really want to come back, and I really want all these shows to happen. And at the same time, I I'm having a lot of sort of, there's trepidation over half capacity or like quarter capacity, because to keep it safe, it's unfortunately it's not very fun for anybody, because when you're at half capacity, there's the energy is not there in the room, because there's like worry and there's this and there's that, and it really, we did one festival like that last summer, and yeah, it didn't feel that good, and so I would prefer to go back to doing live shows when we return to some kind of normal, and I'm sure
Yeah.
that's going to be a new normal, but if it's going to be quarter full, half full to make people comfortable, I don't know that's going to fly.
It's a difficult
I mean,
decision, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think that not only, even if there's not reduced capacity, people are still scared. There's still no guarantee that all the people who would normally come to your shows, or hopefully new people, will come. So that's the
Yeah.
thing. Even if it is opened up, we're still in that shaky ground.
You've got one thing I've always thought about you though. You've got a really loyal fan base, haven't you? And it's spread all over the world. I remember speaking to you once, and you mentioned Australia being a place that you first went to, or early on in your career. I mean, that must feel great though. You must really want to get back out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I'd love to get back down to Australia, and just even England, and seeing old friends. Like every part of the world that we go to, there's not only fans we want to get to, but there's newfound friends through music connections that we want to visit. And so, yeah. And I mean, I'm here in Grenada right now, and I'm talking to a singer-songwriter that just did a tour of England in the fall. Her name is Sabrina Francis, and she's a great singer-songwriter. And what she noticed was that all the pre-sale tickets, all like those people came, which was great because they could count on the pre-sales, but people did not come to the door at all. There was like not one walk up, which is a brand new sort of thing. And that might be what the future holds for us, is that people have to sort of decide, okay, yes, I'm going to go out on Friday, January 22nd, and I'm going to go see this show. Because if it comes up in your feed and you see your band, you want to go see them, you buy the ticket, you go to the show. That's really good for artists to know when you're going out on tour that, the venues they're at capacity, that you don't have to count on walk-ups, because that's always a stressful thing for artists, and promoters, not just the artists, but the promoters. So if that's the new normal, I love that idea, because it makes everybody more comfortable going into a show.
I don't think you're going to have a problem here. I think if you do decide to make the trip, people seem to be out and about doing it. I went to a few gigs recently, that couple of thousand people. No, it's just back to sort of normal-ish here, or at least it feels like it. I've got one question actually, because I've got to read this, because you talk about loyal fans and stuff, and my friend Rich, who introduced me to your music, I thought he's written me quite a good question for you. He said, on their early albums, their sound is more of two voices with harmonies, whereas the latest album, Bren Lee's voice, is much more dominant. Is that a deliberate change? It's not something I've noticed.
I don't know that I noticed that either. Different producers, mixing in a different way, possibly. I don't know.
No, I started to listen earlier on, back to the earlier albums, and I didn't really notice a massive difference. But I have to read that out, because he's, like I say, he's a super fan.
Yeah,
that's an interesting observation by a fan, though. And I wonder, he's talking albums and not live show, yeah?
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't have seen you live. I don't know when the last time you came to England was, actually.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
it has been.
I have to say,
we would
on
have
this
seen
new
every time
album,
you've been to Bristol, we would have seen you.
We didn't do Bristol on the last tour, because the place we play in Bristol is no longer.
Yeah, St. Bonaventures is closed down, and they've moved the same people that run gigs have moved to another venue now, but that would have probably been when they were sort of in a transition period. So no, you are right, that venue doesn't do it anymore. It's quite an interesting little place, and they had quite once again like a loyal fan base of people that would always turn up to those sort of shows, and it was great. And that's why I've seen you a couple of times.
Nice.
I think, did we also play there with Jack Severetti in Bristol?
I think
we did.
That sounds about right. I think that's when I was at that show. Yeah.
Was it on some kind of a boat or something? Like a?
Is that Thekla?
Was it a boat?
Yeah, it's Thekla. Does it kind of feel like a boat, or is it a boat?
It is a boat. It is a boat.
Yeah.
It's funny. I went to California once, and I was in the Rainbow Bar and Grill, and I was chatting to a person, and then he said, "You're from Bristol?" And I went, "Yeah." "Do you know Thekla?" I said, "Of course I know Thekla. Everyone in Bristol knows Thekla. Everyone in the UK knows Thekla. It's like one of those sort of venues. So it's world famous, that one." But I just want to say, guys, thanks so much for giving me a bit of your time, and I really appreciate it. And I love your music, and I hope maybe one day we could sit down again and have a little chat, but face to face at a Bristol venue or a UK venue at least. And I've got my fingers firmly crossed that you'll make the trip in March or April, whenever it is. I know it's going to be a tough decision, but hopefully you do it.
Absolutely. And again, our apologies for the tardiness. So sorry.
Don't worry about it. It's rock and roll. You're rock and roll stars.
Brandley was out getting a suntan, and I was bundled up in a toque and winter gear, taking a puppy to walk for a walk in the ravine. So two very different things right now.
Very different things. I'll tell you one thing, I'm not going to get where I am. That's a suntan. So you're very safe in the UK. You don't need to pack the suntan lotion. No point. Anyway, guys, thanks very much. Thanks very much for your time, and good luck with everything. See you soon.
Thanks so much, Ben. Take care.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Rebel on the radio, baby.
We lost little time